lot of the sports guys talking about marijuana versus taking these shots and stuff that the doctor's recommending. And what kind of, I don't know if you have any analytics behind this, or you know any people that have confirmed, like, I'd rather smoke than take a pill. What do you think about that, and what have you kind of heard about?
Yeah, good point, man. You know, when the money's behind it, and now it's all of a sudden legal, so it's okay to, well, it's semi-legal, I guess. It's not legal federally, but a lot of states.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, it is. You can have a card. So, okay, is a recreational? You can have a card, I know. The card is almost like just saying it's legal, right? Because anybody, I know in California, Snoop Dogg has had a card for like 20 years. So I mean, if you can get a card, I guess you can get it. But yeah, so they're starting to do. So I went to a program. You know, you have to do continuing education CEs, like y'all probably have to do in your professions. And there was a guy saying that, you know, he was saying all the benefits of, you know, of the pain, even the pain benefits of using marijuana. Not so much with just regular pain, like somebody stabbing your leg, but like neuropathic pains that diabetics talk about. You know, tingling of your feet and things like that. So yeah, man, it seems like, I mean, if I had to pick between that and an opioid, I mean, I definitely pick marijuana. Now, the thing you got to be careful with, though, it's still a gateway drug, right? You know, I mean, I don't tell my parents, but I've been to some parties where people that had marijuana and then different stuff ended up in it, you know, and they're like, what is he doing? You know what I'm saying? And you don't know what people, and you know, people pass you stuff, you don't know what you smoking, you know? So, I mean, you still have to be careful. And I mean, we're older, so, you know, you can go to the right spot, but our kids coming up, you know, if the line is blurred too much and they're like, well, everybody is, mama got a card, so it can't be that bad. So you got to kind of be careful how you explain that to the next generation. So.
Have y'all heard of Al Harrington? Y'all probably both heard of Al Harrington. Y'all heard about his medical dispensary with his weed brand. So his story behind it, he has a weed dispensary, marijuana dispensary, and he used to smoke a little bit when he was playing ball. But his story behind it is why he kind of got behind it. Is because his grandmother could not see. She had glaucoma and all these things, and she couldn't see well. And he said he came home one day and she was sitting on the edge of her bed trying to read her Bible, and she was so frustrated. She was in tears. And he was like, Grandma, what's wrong? And she was like, I can't see. You won't understand. And he was just like, dang. He was like, he wanted to do something to help her. Right. And he heard that, you know, marijuana could help certain deficiencies. So he was like, man, Grandma, like, why don't you try to smoke this weed? And she like, boy, I ain't doing it. He was like, look, like, if it don't work, it's cool. Like, don't try it again. He said he gave her, I think, like a pre-roll, maybe 1 or 2 pre-rolls, left her to herself for like a day or two. He said he came back to visit her and she was sitting on the edge of the bed. 2 days later, he said she was like sitting on the edge of the bed. He's like, Grandma, what's up? You good? And she was like, wow, like I can see better. And he was like, what? He was like, really? And basically she's like, I want some more of that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because that helps me see. Right. And he said that got him behind his medical weed brand, which is called Viola, his grandmother's name.
Oh, wow.
And there's not a lot of people like him in the industry. Right. So he helps people. So he's in it. Of course, he had a basketball background, so he has some money and funding. So he's in it, learning about it. And so he's providing, basically, like, he's the gatekeeper to helping other Black people get involved. And that's what he's been doing. So I met this Black lady that has a dispensary here in DC, and she worked really closely with him legalizing here in DC, where all you need is a residence in DC and you can get a medical license. So I went and tried it for myself. I have a medical card in DC. All I had to do is go sign up. And she helped pass the law in DC, but she works really close with Al. And it was kind of crazy hearing her because she was telling me this story about legalizing marijuana. It's a cool story with Al and you know, what we're doing in the medical dispensary space.
That's amazing, man. And, you know, Mike Tyson, he has a dispensary. He swears by it. You know, he said he could make a lot of money doing it, but he smokes it all up, I guess.
He's doing mushrooms and everything.
Doing shrooms and stuff.
He experienced it all.
I get confused listening to Mike. I'm like, dang, is the shrooms, are those legal? But anyway.
But I've heard the shrooms experience it's a high like that takes you. I don't know. I've heard a couple people talk about this high, and they say like you see stuff, you hallucinate on another level. It's so interesting that people do it because they want to experience that. Like some people say, like spiritually it brings them closer to God, and it's interesting, man. I've heard people say, but I'm like, I don't know, I ain't doing nothing. That's that sound. I don't know. Sound a little bit weird.
Yeah, the experience could be different for every. You'd be like Richard Pryor, you'd be running down the street on fire
because of marijuana. You think it'll be more effective, like people smoking, but I mean, eventually it's going to be pills, I imagine, right? So you think it's going to be more effective, the pill version, or you think the natural version is better because it gets to your body quicker?
Yeah, probably the natural version, I would imagine. Because just like any pill, it has to travel through your first pass system, got to go through your liver, got to go through your kidney. If you're inhaling it, you're gonna get the effect quicker. Now, if they have a delayed release pill at some point, maybe it could be like a longer effect. But I would say, I would think that the smoke one would be. I can't believe we're talking about this.
10 years ago, you'd be like, "Hey, bro."
right. So, but it's where we are, man. But I think you're probably right, Mario.
So as a pharmacist, do you think it'll ever be legalized? I know, of course, states and federal is one thing, but you being in an industry, do you think that the medical community will push the federal government to actually legalize it, or you think that'll never happen?
It happened with alcohol, man. As soon as they figure out how they can tax it, I think they'll do it. You know what I'm saying? I believe so. There's a lot of push against alcohol and prohibition, but America makes a lot of money off alcohol and tobacco and everything else. So, I mean, I'm sure tobacco's 1,000 times worse than marijuana as far as the long-term effects. Alcohol, people probably getting hit right now and dying right now because of drunk drivers. So, I think, I don't know why. I mean, what my brother said about Al Harrington's grandma, why have they been holding this back for so long? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it does need to be controlled in a way, but there were marijuana products like Marinol on the market for years, but they cost so much, man. You know what I'm saying? So people that were getting chemotherapy would take it to help with the nausea, right? But they couldn't afford it, so they just got regular weed. And you go in the back of where, not now, but where the old chemo building used to be, and my old partner said he used to see people just lighting up after they took the chemo or before. So I mean, why hold that from those people for that, man? It makes no sense.
Why is medicine just in general? Like, why is medicine so high? Like, you have medicine, then you have generics. Like, what's the difference? I mean, because you have like a 600, 700, 800% difference. Like, why is it so expensive?
It's a good question, man. I mean, I want to say it's probably got a lot to do with the lobby and the way things are set up. But when you make a drug, it does cost a lot of money to bring a drug to market. It can cost $1 billion to bring a drug to the market. So they give you that long patent to try to enable you to recoup that money. But that goes back to where the research comes from. If you have federally funded research and it's the government's discovery of these drugs, then you kind of control the market. And then as soon as these drugs go off patent, they go from like $300 to $20, even the IV drug. And you're like, well, what was it? Was it $300 worth of drug when it came out? And did it get worse? It don't work as good. So yeah, it's just kind of a rigged system to help them recoup their dollars. But I think through COVID, man, these people made a lot of money. I mean, the federal government was paying for everybody to get a COVID shot, right? So I mean, that stock should be good for a while, I would think. But yeah, to answer your question, man, it's just, I think they front load a lot of that money in the research, and they that's how they explain it, is that they put a lot into the research and then they give them a chance to get their money back while it's on patent.
So to Mario's question about that generic thing, so I've been to pick up some prescription before, and they'll say, here's a generic brand because your insurance covers a larger percentage. It's the same thing. It does the same thing. It's like cheaper. So it's like they recommend that and they give you that, prescribe that. And I'm thinking like, I ain't want the knockoff. I want the real deal. But they say it do the same thing. And you even see like, the allergy stuff. They say, oh, it's the same thing as Claritin. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna take this one, the same thing, right? I ain't paying 15, I pay 5. But like what kind of push the generic brand versus the official, I guess, brand?
Right. I think Medicare has something where they kind of give some type of incentive for that. Certain insurance companies do as well. And in most instances, they are. The active ingredient is the same thing. Now, where you got to be careful that some of the fillers, the dyes and some of the inert things, you could be allergic to that. If it's one thing, if it's one type of dye in the generic and a different one in the brand, you could be allergic to the generic, or you could be allergic to the brand. So, but in most cases, I think the generic is a safe bet for you, man. So, but it's interesting, man. The economics behind it. I ain't smart enough to understand all of it, but like you say, it's like, it's just too much going on there. Why can't we just get one pill for everybody? That's what I'm thinking too. But Coke, Pepsi, just give me one option, bro.